of you may never like took any classes before or any class with me before. So for these class, we're gonna like first of all clarify what is the target, okay? What is the objectives for the whole class? It's a little bit different from the previous foundation class or advanced classes or any private or group classes you took before, because we have the following objectives. Number one, throughout the whole 8 classes, we will do a lot of timed practice, which means every time when we're going to do a practice, I'm going to give you a whole module for English. I mean, okay, the whole module, and you have 32 minutes to in that module specifically. And all the materials we were using or we will be using in the future are from the real test. Okay, last year and this year, mainly last year. Okay, which means those questions are very authentic, are very valuable. And also the better part is because the College Board, they don't have like a huge or very big question banks. They just have a very limited question numbers, okay, which means there's a very high chance you're going to meet the same passage or even the identical questions in your future test, okay, especially for the tricky questions in module 2, which means my requirement for all of you here in the class is you have to make sure you understand every question we covered, okay, you have no question at all. In that way, in the future, like next month, you see the very similar material, you may take like just 30 seconds to solve it. They can save you a lot of time. Okay, so that's the first objective, a like ton of timed practice. Okay, the second one is in our class, I'm gonna try my best to improve your skills, especially for the analytical question skills, which means number one, you will learn to identify every question type like efficiently. Okay, after the first 3 seconds, this question is a main idea, or that one is a detail, this one is an inference, that one is like undermine support questions. And then you have like a very systematic way to solve the specific question. That's the first goal, okay? The second one would be, I'm going to teach you how to get like the features or the characteristics of all the incorrect answers. Because for College Board, they have like their own way, their own language, okay, to write the wrong answers, even though they look very similar to the right answers, but they have like a special feature. Also, what is the feature for the right answers? Okay, maybe like usually the right answer is a paraphrase, right? It's a restatement, it's recycled, but how? Like in every specific example, how they present you the right answer, but not using the same words, okay? With the real question examples, we're going to show you a lot of examples. Number three is we will focus on a very specific type of questions, which I personally call those ones as logical reading questions. In the real test, usually is in about like question number 15 or question number 14 in that range for both module 1 and module 2. As we all know, the beginning, right? The first few questions are super easy, like vocabulary, especially for the first module, but it's getting more and more difficult, okay? Especially for the ending part for the reading sections, okay? And we're going to focus on that part. The last one is, I'm going to teach you like a specific way to create a mind map, or simply speaking, it's like a skeleton reading to grasp the logic of the passage more efficiently. Okay, still with a lot of examples. So that's the 4 basic objectives or goals for the crash course, a bunch of practice and some very specific analytical skills. Okay, I will highly suggest you to keep an error log. Okay, so let me talk about like what's an error log and why or how can we keep an error log. An error log, simply speaking, is like a notes, okay, like a document. You just put all your mistakes on your document and try to analyze your mistakes. This part, to be honest, is time consuming, but very, very useful, especially for you, okay? Most of you from the chat, I can see like you got a pretty good score, okay? Pretty high. How to like improve, like I am at 1450. I want to get 1550, or I 50, how to get a full mark. The key is to analyze your mistakes. Why? Because 2 reasons. The first one, if you have an error log and if you can analyze your mistakes, maybe just like 2 or 1 week, you're gonna realize like you have some patterns for mistakes, some patterns. For example, like last week I got a student who did a lot of practice. So from her error log, she just realized, okay, she had a preference to pick the option with more than, which is incorrect, most likely. Okay. And she didn't realize that before. After like copying all the mistakes and analyze the mistake options, she just realized, okay, I do have this preference. I do have this subconscious preference. Okay. Whenever she saw the answer choice, like that theory is more valid than a different theory, she had like a voice inside of her said, okay, they're probably correct, but it's not the correct answer. Okay, so this kind of mistake has a name. It's called fictitious comparison. Fictitious comparison means in the passage, they never compare A with B. They never saying like which one is better than the other one. But in the answer choices, College Board, they love to give you like a fictitious comparison because on the surface, it looks very academic, looks very like the right answer, but that's incorrect. So when you trying to summarize and review your mistakes, you can realize that. Okay, so that's the key, that's the point why we keep an error log, which is really time consuming, okay? Because we're trying to see like which patterns we are having to make a mistake. Okay, everybody has a pattern, trust me. The second one is if you have an error log, you can track your progress. You can boost your confidence. You're going to realize, okay, with more practice I did, I had fewer mistakes, especially the same type of mistakes. Okay, for example, I'm using math as example, okay? The first few tests, I realized I made a lot of mistakes in geometry or trigonometry. Okay, so I need to polish my trigonometry knowledge, my geometry knowledge, especially maybe circles. Okay, and after a bunch of like target practice, you're gonna see like there are fewer mistakes in that area, and you're gonna feel more confident. And in a real test, you can avoid similar mistakes and get a higher mark. Three is a little bit tricky one, a verb. So the answer is B, eccentric, accentuate. Okay, so accentuate means to emphasize something,
To
to make
highlight.
hmm? She
Means to
question?
highlight, right?
To highlight, yes, to highlight, to make something more noticeable, more like prominent and highlight something. Yes, okay. So here, also see the common part? They love to give you the word instead in the vocabulary questions because there is a contrast again. Contrast definitely is College Board's favorite type of passages. Okay, so the previous part, they're talking about like rejection of romantic style evident in many paintings. While in this one, they highlight the subject's beauty and heroism. Okay, so kind of like very different directions. So the answer is B. Obscure, also very popular in the test as one option. Obscure is opposite, means to make something not noticeable, kind of like make something unclear, obscure. Okay, so the answer is B. Number, let's move on. Number six. Number six, this one is a little bit tricky. Main purpose. Be careful. Main purpose, not main idea. And you can see the answer choices. None of them is a complete sentence to do something, right? So A is to describe the fact, to explain why, to present a claim or discuss the difficulty of something else. Okay, whenever I highlight something, that is the part you will read in the future. Okay, to like read that part more carefully. For all the main purpose question, we read the verb plus the following object, which is a noun. Okay, more carefully. So, to address main purpose question, of course, we need to read the overall passage, but we have some focus. The focus would be in the beginning, the topic sentence, the first one, and the last sentence. Be careful, okay? Not the only first sentence, but also the last sentence. So the first sentence is this is a place. So this LP place has high pedestrian traffic, but see that? Whenever you see a sentence with a comma and a but or however, we focus on the second half. That's a logic. Okay. Whenever they give you contrast, you focus on the second part. Just like they give you although, you focus on after the comma, after although clause. What is the major part? So the major part supposed to be right here. Simply replicating a feature of this place, blah blah blah, and be careful. Okay, there's a double dash situation. Jay, do you remember the function for a double dash right here? Why they have a double dash?
Sorry?
Why they have a double dash? What's the function for this punctuation
Oh,
marks?
comma.
Yes, double commas, right? Which means the middle part is not important, right? It's like unnecessary. So you can skip the yellow part, which means the major part is not the yellow one, but the blue one. Simply replicating this feature may be insufficient to induce increased walking in other cities. So we're talking about what? Something may be insufficient, not enough to induce something about walking. It's negative. Okay, after you find the skeleton or the major part of a sentence, you have to determine the tone, which is negative in this case. Okay, and then we move to the last sentence. In the test, you read everything. But now I'm telling you like which is the key part, which is the beginning and the end. So the end part, which is from what? Wow, there are just two sentences. Okay, but the second half is also there's a but, right? Read after but walking decisions are made, blah, blah, in which something need to inform individual choices. So something about like in complex context need a lot of conditions to decide, which is not easy to do. So they have something common, the beginning and the ending. They're both talking about something negative, which is replicating a feature of the city is not easy for the other cities. Which one is negative in the answer choices? That is your choice. Answer is D. Because D talking about discuss the difficulty. Difficulty match the thing, something is hard or insufficient. Negative, negative. Okay, but as you can see, like the right answer, they never use the same verb or same adjective as in the test because it's too easy. But they will use like synonyms or especially for the tone level, consistent tone words. Okay, so to tackle this one easier or faster, you just find the tone negative and only D in all the answer choices kind of negative. Maybe someone think, why not B? Because B is also like challenging, right? Challenging is negative. Why is challenging to compare? Are we talking about to compare something? If the passage really trying to compare something, they need to give you different cities and tell you like, it's different to see the like to see the feature for these areas. So it's hard to compare them. They never mention any comparison, so B is incorrect. Okay, and A and C, they're both like kind of neutral and there's no negative stuff, which means option D is the only choice you can make. Okay, if you got this one correct, that's good. But still, you have to know like why and how, like in the future, how can I can improve my like speed. Okay, I can get answer more faster than before. So that's for number 6, main purpose. The answer is D. Okay, so guys, let's review a term. What's called standard deviation? Anybody learn that in the class? It's a part of
Oh,
statistics.
I've taken AP statistics before. It's basically a measure of spread and how varied the distribution is from like the center.
From the center, okay, from the mean number, right? Okay, so what if I have a like a larger or a bigger standard deviation? What does it mean?
A larger standard deviation usually indicates that the distribution is like very spread out, that there's more variation.
Spread out.
Yeah.
Different, right? Okay, and if it has a smaller or a like
Yeah, if it's smaller, then that means it's like centered around like a single value more closely, it's more densely packed towards the center. For example, if there's like array of numbers, such for example, 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, that means its smallest standard deviation is like virtually nothing because it's like all centered around one number. However, if you have like a distribution such as like 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, then standard deviation is obviously larger.
okay, nice. Thank you. So, for example, this is the first set. 4, 5, 5, 5, 6. Most of the numbers are like centered in 5. So this one has a smaller SD. On the other hand, if I give you like 1, 2, 5, 9, 8, and 9, then this one has a larger SD because it's more spread out. So simply speaking, just remember, larger SD means it's more spread out, it's more different. Every number is more different from the center, from the middle, okay? While if it has a smaller SD, means it's more concentrated. They're looking for a smallest SD, which means you're gonna find which one. It's very concentrated in the middle, which is 6. They give you all the same values on the first column, okay? Which the answer is A, because for A, we have 46. That's very, very concentrated. Okay, guys, which one has a largest SD in BCD?
Largest spread
Mhm.
from out of these two.
We see, right?
Yeah. No, C has the smallest.
Oh.
Oh wait, never mind. It's value and frequency.
It's
I
C
chose
or D.
C and I'm
Yeah,
wrong.
Because they're asking you for the smallest SD. It's A.
Okay.
Smallest means it's more concentrated.
All right.
More concentrated. So for this one, okay, the answer is A. I'm now asking you, if I change the question into which one represents the largest SD, then which one is correct?
Then it's C.
C or D? I'm going to try to show you by the dot plot, okay? For option C, it's more like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They're all the same, okay, even. For option D, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's like a valley. Then which one has a like a larger SD, more spread out? The answer is D. Because more spread out to the two ends. Okay. Also, you can even use the decimals to calculate the standard deviation. But you don't have to, because they're never asking you the value. Okay, the specific SD is what? They never ask you about that. They're only asking you to compare different data sets, which one has a larger one or which one has a smaller one. All you need to remember, everyone, okay, is these two sentences right here. So copy these two down, okay? Larger SD means it's more spread out. Smaller SD means it's more concentrated. Memorize that and you have no problem with the standard deviation. You might see one question in the whole test. Okay, maybe module 2 or module 1.
I think I have problem reading questions. I thought like it was like, okay, the first value is 12, the second value is 12, and then the third value is also 12. So I thought all values are 12, so they have like this smallest standard deviation.
Oh, actually you have
Yeah.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You have 5 different values, and the second one is the frequency. How many times, right? You have in 4 or 5. Okay, so also for the math part, guys, I have a suggestion, that is you spend more time in reading the questions. So when you are very certain you understand the question, then you start calculating. Okay, otherwise you're gonna waste a lot of time to do a lot of like calculation, but in the end, the answer is incorrect. And then you realize, oh, I didn't read that sentence, or I read the sentence wrong, or I maybe like reverse the sentence. Okay, so always read the sentence twice before you do the question, especially for word problems.